Peace, y'all. Today is Sunday, Gemini new moon happening tomorrow. And with that being said, I am going to be giving you guys some ideas on some of the habits you can create. And I'm going to be using astrology. Yes, astrology to organize them so you can have an idea of some of the traits that come. So you're learning about the sign, but you're also learning about the different elements and how you can organize your routine around the elements. But we're using astrology. And like, with that being said, I'm going to be doing air first, because I did say it's Gemini new moon energy. So I'm going to be talking about the 3 air signs. And yes, I'm going to be splitting the routines that you can create and some of the habits you can have or put within your routine, so that you're just living you're living your life in your higher self. You're elevating in these ways, because most of these are positive things. So, you can add more as we go. If you think about some of your own, you can add that so we can have some more. And maybe I'll do another video including some of the things you guys let me know that we can add with each sign. So, with all that being said, hopefully you guys were able to understand that. If you did not, we're going to get right into it. So, since it's going to be Gemini new moon energy, I am a Gemini moon, so I do have to shout out my Geminis. And Gemini is the first air sign, right? So with that being said, it's a very mutable energy. And mutable has a lot to do with change. Change is very adaptable. It's kind of like just doing like a lot, right? It's not really like fixed for fixed. You're sticking something, you're staying and sticking to something. And cardinal, you're initiating. So with Gemini, it's kind of like, yeah. And then it's an air element. So air has a lot to do with thinking, communicating, intellect, and just relating with others. So with that being said, Gemini, since it's ruled by the hands, what are some things that we do with hands that has to do with communication? Writing. So starting to journal, getting into your journals, writing your daily plans, or writing how you feel, writing about your day. I love journaling because I always say this is something that in my journals, personally, I write transit journals. So I'm looking at the planet aspects and like where the planet's going to be. Like today I'll write moon, not today, it's tomorrow. I'll write new moon or moon in Gemini, and then I'll write the date, and then I'll write some of the things that happened to me, and then I'll try to connect it with some of the transits that are happening currently in my natal chart. And I love doing this because as I go back, I use my journals as like seeing where I was at one point and where I am now. So seeing my growth. I see in my journals, there's things that I'm learning from people, from myself. So with that being said, I can give these same journals to my children, and they can learn some of the mistakes that I make, or some of the things that they can do to elevate and better their life, right? So they don't have to go through the same things, or they can go through the same experiences that are, more positive, and, experiences that you want your children to go through. So yes, get into journaling. And I say do it. It takes 90 days to build a lifestyle, 21 days to build a habit, but 90 days to build a lifestyle. So if you're at the beginning, it's going to be hard for you to start out. You're like, hey, yeah, I used to journal and I stopped journaling, and hey, let me get back into it. But then, you're probably going to do it for like a week, but then the next week we're probably, not all of us, but that's usually how it goes, because our energy is used to being in our comfort. Is used to doing the things that we normally do, and we don't normally journal every day. So at the beginning, it's going to be hard for you to keep these habits that I am telling you about. but the more you stick to them, the more better it is. I also teach about in my master healing class, you get a one-to-one with me session where we talk about some of the things that you either want to manifest, you either want to release, you either want to heal, you either want to transform into a greater version of yourself, and you want to release some things that, you know, no longer serve you. I can help you get down to the bottom of this and find different tools and different different tools you can use to navigate through that, because I did it myself. So why not put that energy out so you guys can do it yourselves too, because it does take work, but it is possible that we can manifest and remove things that, like habits that we just think that we can't, or trauma that we've been through. It is possible. Like, we don't have to stay stuck through those things, because there's tools that we can use. And yeah, so if you guys are interested, it's called the Master Healing Session. That'll be in my link. But yes, continuing on with Gemini energy, it also rules, like I was saying, communication. So getting to speaking your truth. Air energy, or Gemini, because it has a lot to do with speaking in the throat, is connected to the throat chakra. So really getting into speaking the things that you want to speak to. So maybe working on your throat chakra is a way you can activate this energy too. Yeah, if you're a person who has problems with speaking up or communicating, maybe you want to take a communication class, work on a skill where you can elevate your mind, you know. So yeah, Gemini rules like elementary school learning, like where the opposite of Gemini is Sag, where Sag is like higher education, you go into college, and Gemini's rules like, you know, your elementary school learning, or picking up a book and, you know, reading, shuffling through some pages. So another thing, like I was going to say, is reading. Getting to reading, because reading helps. Not only are you learning different topics of things that you didn't know, just that you using your brain. It's good that, you know, a lot of us, we went through school, and after college or high school degree, that's as far as we went, and you're not like using that muscle, your brain, you know. We have some of us, we work out, right? We have that muscle in our arm, but we also have like a mental muscle that needs to be used. That's why a lot of old people are recommended to play like Sudoku, play like word games and things like that, just to keep their, you know, they suffer from dementia, or I forget, there's some old people that just to keep your memory, and it's good for memory as well. Just for us to be learning, it's important, you know. Or you can do like a word of the day. Gemini rules words, so you can learn a word or learn a new language, because it rules language too. So learning a new language, or learning a new word of the week, you can do something like that. So you know, because some of us, we want to figure out how can we implement some of these things. And another thing you want to do is start small. You know, you want to learn new words. Don't, you know, maybe start with one word a month, one word a year, you know, but at least it's better than knowing the same words we knew from before, right? Just a little bit of steps. You want to start reading, try reading 1 chapter a day. If that's too much, try reading 5 minutes a day. Or 1 page a day. Whatever way gets you to start is the best way, you know. And make sure you always, you know, you're doing this for 90 days, but try, another advice is just start small, because it will get you into motion, versus having like, hey, I want to work out, and you have like this whole regimen, versus just doing 2 squats a day. You're more likely to do the 2 squats a day than the whole workout routine, right? Okay, so there's the transit journals, there's the writing, there's the reading, there's the speaking of your truth, there's language. Nice. Let me just see if I got everything real quick. Yes. Or socializing with friends, right? So, and really are older friends, so friends that you maybe went to school with. You don't really have to do it like that, but that's, that's just something that you can do to reconnect or activate this Gemini energy, okay? And next we're going into Libra. Libra is the second air sign, and Libra has a lot. So when you see it, it's the balancing scales. So with that, Libra is ruled also by the planet Venus. Venus symbolizes beauty, pleasures, and beauty, pleasures. They say love, but I have a different but yes, beauty, things like that. And Libra is also cardinal, so starting, initiating, yeah, and it's the second air sign. And with that being said, Libra has a lot to do with harmony, creating balance, because it is scales. So and it's usually like two, because Libra is like, it's me, and then there's the relationship with others. Libra rules relationships. So maybe seeing if you have been a person, because you want to balance out, because Libra rules relationships and it also rules balance. So if you feel like you're a person who your relationship, you maybe been focused on yourself at this time, focus on your work at this time, figure out a way where you can bring balance. So if you've been focused at work, maybe figure out a way where you can spend some time with your relationship, spend some time with your family. If you've been spending a lot of time working on yourself, maybe to balance out, see if you're a person who can use some of this. Maybe you can balance out the energy with your relationships, with doing other things with other people. Yeah, but if you also are a person who has been, because Libra can be a little bit too much, maybe you're too always people pleasing or trying to seek harmony, and other people in your relationship are not really bringing nothing to the table, and you're really feeling like you're doing 100 and they're bringing 0 to the table. You want to also figure out the things that you may need to change, always within yourself, but how we can change others, not really change others, is again socializing, speaking up on some of the things where they can bring harmony or they can bring balance to the relationship. So that's something you can do, speak up and kind of do it in a consistent way. Maybe start small again, talk about one thing, don't just go all over the place, so they can work on that and keep talking about it, keep setting boundaries, because Libra is ruled by Libra, yeah, Libra, Saturn rules boundaries, but Libra does good. So in your relationships, you're supposed to have boundaries. So maybe having boundaries within your relationships, not doing certain things, or like I'm saying, like, just keep it as like a repetition thing. Like, yeah, you're going to speak to someone, don't just speak to them one time. Really enforce your boundaries and do it in a way where, because some people, they'll be like, oh, it's just that you're just having a phase, No, I'm not having a phase. Keep mentioning it to them until they understand your boundaries, okay? Yes. Yeah, so seeking balance. So if you feel like you're overcompensating, you can seek balance. But if you feel like you've been focusing too much on work, too much on self, balance, figure out how you can balance out your relationship. Relationships are so important to our lives, to our growth, to our happiness. We like to, we're not, God didn't create us by ourselves. We're a social human being. So yeah, figure out a way we can make those relationships beautiful, because they should be, right? But yes, Libra also rules business, so maybe attending to your business, attending to, like I said, it doesn't have to even be business as like I have my own business, but like my own like business, like things that because Venus also rules money, so it doesn't have to be like, something that you maybe do as a hustle or a side hustle or something like that. So yeah, Libra rules, it's Venus has a lot to do with looks and looking good. So maybe getting a massage, doing things that make you feel good, getting a facial, or getting dressed, establishing a self-care routine where you're taking care of yourself. Because some of us, yeah, where you're taking care of yourself, because that's important. Maybe going to a Broadway show that you always wanted to go, you know? So yeah, so that's what I got for Libra. And then the last but not least is Aquarius. Aquarius is a fixed sign ruled by Uranus. Uranus has a lot to do with changes, rebellion, and innovation, and social media, and things like that. We're living in the age of Aquarius, so there's a lot to do with information. Gemini is the lower octave of because there's a higher octave of a sign and a lower octave. And with Gemini, it's like the elementary school learning where Aquarius is ruled by Uranus, and Uranus is more like that, it's the higher octave. So it's like a higher education, a higher learning in that way, in that regards. So, yeah, with Aquarius energy, yeah, Geminis and Aquarius, they have a lot of similarities, you know, where Gemini is like your friends that you grew up going to school with, your friends in your neighborhood, where Aquarius is friends as well. It rules like collective, the community, you know, you have your neighborhood, but then you have the community, your tribe, people that, you know, you have like-minded energy, people that you can connect with, right? Because Aquarius rules connections, right? Yeah, so maybe socializing with friends, or or your tribe, connecting with your tribe, that's so important as we further our journeys, especially those who, at least me, I'm not saying my journey is special than anybody, but kind of like everything that I knew, you know, like I was a Christian, you know, just certain views and mindsets that I had. You know, I ate meat. Not that I don't eat meat now. I eat a little balance of a diet, but I am into more herbs. I'm into more supplements and eating more healthy and eating more vegetables. I didn't grow up really eating, you know, I didn't grow up eating McDonald's and all that garbage, even though I kind of did, but it wasn't like a thing, but it wasn't like I was eating all this healthy food as well. And I'm just saying, from the person who I grew up with, I kind of, you know, elevated is the way I'm going to look at it. And with that being said, as you elevate your environment, you also want your environment to elevate too, because if you're always around, I'm not saying you can't stick around those same friends that you have, but you also want to find balance. You also want to find friends who support the energy that you're moving to. You know, I'm into tarot now. I grew up like a Christian, strict Christian. My mom would totally disown me, you know, for the tarot, because it's just not, you know, they look at it like it's demonic, right? So with that being said, yeah, so it's just important that you find like-minded individuals, so you know you're not alone on this journey. You have people that can kind of like, you know, you coming together. You don't feel like you're alone, and that's so important. Like, y'all, so important, having a mentor, or just your like-minded friends who can relate to some of the things that you're going through. It's so important, y'all. And then also just thinking outside the box, because Aquarius just rules being different. So don't allow yourself to be different, allow yourself to stand out. Yeah, that's all I had for Aquarius. I felt like there should have been more. But yes, I hope you guys were able to get something from this. Tomorrow and the rest of this week, I'll be doing the air, fire, and water. I'll be doing the air, fire, and water, so you want to stay tuned with that. I hope you guys were able to get something from this video, how to use the elements in your life, and just understanding a little bit about the signs as well, for those who are interested in astrology. Yeah, peace, y'all.